Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Politico Speakeasy here at the GlobeSec Forum. We have a very special surprise interview guest for you all. So thank you guys for those of you who are in the room and online. In order to introduce our next guest, please help me welcome my colleague, Nicholas Vineker. He is our Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent at Politico. And please give them a round of applause. Thank you.
I'm delighted to welcome Michel Barnier, former French Prime Minister, Brexit negotiator, and nice person to talk to in general. We've met a few times before, including this morning, but I'm very happy to talk to you again. And you told me on the panel this morning, not so much French politics, but we have to, it's unavoidable. France is unavoidable. And we're once again in that moment where we're looking at the French presidential election. So I want to start by asking you straight up, do you think this one could be the election where what we used to call far-right candidate could win the election in France?
Yes, it's possible. Good morning to all of you, first of all. Yes, it's possible. But we have, in fact, in France, we face two dangers at that time, the current time. And for many reasons, the political debate in France is focused today on the two extreme, far right and far left. And I came back into the French National Assembly 6 months ago, elected by the people of Paris, after being a long time representative of the Savoy region, but
congratulations.
But the situation is quite different. There is a kind of a pre-insurrectional situation in France in the National Assembly at many occasions. In very sensitive debate, there is a pre-insurrectional situation between the two groups of far right and far left, so we have to be careful. So, but there is no fatality, and I think a politician cannot be and must not be fatalista. So we have to avoid this situation, and the only way to avoid this situation, in my view, is to be able, in the next few months, we need time to have one single candidate for the center-right.
Absolutely. Let's pause on that. That's a strong word, an insurrectional vibe. Do you mean
Sure.
in the assembly or in the country?
No, in the assembly. But be careful in France. The National Assembly is very often I don't know the word, but represent what could happen in France. So
Right.
we have to be careful.
Right, of course.
And it could be a signal of what could happen in France. So we have to keep calm, and to act for the unity of the project on the center-right side, right Republican side, and center, and Republican Party, my party, and to work for the unity of the project, and at the end of this year, for the unity of the candidacy.
Are you supporting a candidate? Are you, for example, Edouard Philippe? Would you support him?
For the long time, I'm a member of the Republicans, and we have decided to have one candidate, Bruno Retailleau, who is our president. So we will see at the end of this year who will be the best place to be the single candidate for the center-right. We will see.
Now, in all the years I was covering politics in France, we talk about the National Rally as a far-right party.
You are very focused on the French politics.
And then we're going to move on. This is the last one.
I came to Prague with this hope to be able to speak about.
We're gonna. This is the last one. This is the last one. Is the National Rally still a far-right party, or is it a party, or have those old labels, are they still relevant today? Is it possible to sort of work with them in some ways?
No, I don't think so. Because for many reasons, for their past and our past, but also for the current situation where this party is, as usual and as everywhere, a nationalist party.
Yeah. Okay.
They are working and they are acting for France would not play its role in European projects. So I think there is no way to be able to work with them. So they are nationalists. And if there is a lesson to draw from the current situation facing so many and so strong aggressivity from the US side, not only on trade, but also political side from the aggression of Russia, the trade aggressivity of China also. There's no way to be alone today.
Right.
So we need to be together. The point is to see and to know what we can improve in Brussels, in the common, in the together. The way to work and the governance of the European Union. We can have some ideas, but there is no option to be alone.
Right.
The same for UK, in my view.
Very, very clear there. On Europe, do you think that the European Union is working effectively on foreign policy? Does it have a clear voice? Is it able to project its priorities in the world? Is it working?
But the first point, coming to the basic, to know what we want to be in the next 20 years. I think there is no option for any European country to be alone. The reason why I'm clearly European, in addition to be a French, and it could be the same for the Czech citizens and the German citizens and the others. But there is no option for the European Union to be just a big market. Right. We need to have more ambition and to be a global actor, to be a power. What means to be a power? It means four points, four conditions. An economy, a currency, an external policy, and a defense policy. So we are not yet there. Right. Far from there. So we have to work. I think we have half the way. So and to check and to evaluate what we have done in the past, and well done in my view. If you look, Nicolas, to the last 15 years, we face at least 4 and 5 huge crises. And each of these crises has been existential for Europe. The first one was the financial crisis, 2008. The second one was the migration crisis due to Iraq and Syria and Libya. The third one was obviously the Brexit one, which was clearly an existential crisis.
Political crisis.
And Farage and some others, supported by the Russian and by Bannon and some other Americans, wants to explode the EU. The COVID crisis was also extraordinarily strong and serious. And finally, the war. So if you look at 5 or 4 strong crises, we have to see that we face this crisis. More of the time, the back on the wall and defensive, but we face this crisis, and the EU is still there. So there is some reasons to be not optimistic, but determined to be strong on our base, and our main base, our main asset is a single market, which is much more than a free trade zone, much more. But we have to improve and to complete and to create the tools of the 2 other tools, external policy and defense, and that is the goal today.
And it has been remarkably resilient through all those crises, but it's still slow moving and a consensus-based decision. How can Europe sort of become faster, more reactive, and a little bit more active in a more volatile world?
If we tell the truth to the people, and we need to tell the truth, European governance will remain more complex because we are not a federal state. And I think we are right not to want to be a federal state. We must continue to respect the nations and the national identity of each member state. And each member state has its own identities, its own languages, 24 languages, tradition, culture. So we need to respect, not to give this argument to the far right or the far left. In any case, the European governance will remain complex and sometimes less rapid or less efficient than sometimes could be a federal state. At the same time, we have built complex governance, the Commission, the Council, the Parliament, and in Brussels, obviously there is too much bureaucracy. So we need to check this bureaucracy, to look where we can reduce the power and the level and the complexity of this bureaucracy, the normative power we have built. I think there is lots of progress to do to be more efficient. And I think that the Commission must focus its action now on efficiency of this single market. And finally, looking at what we have built 30 years ago, I was at that time one of the negotiators of the Amsterdam Treaty and later of the Presidium of the Convention. At that time we have imagined this hybrid governance for foreign policy with a double hat of the High Representative. I think it's times, looking at what happened around us, with China, Russia, and the US, I think we have to think about what could be a new governance for external policy and defense through what I call this morning European Council for Security and Defense. More intergovernmental and open to some countries which are no longer or not yet in the European Union. I speak about UK, obviously, which is a key partner, but also Norway or Ukraine. Huh?
A sort of security council with a president, perhaps, that we would name as representing us for security and foreign policy.
Yes.
And this would not be all the members of the European Union, but perhaps a smaller group?
All the members must have to be able to take part. I don't. We have to elaborate. We have to think about what could be this European Council. I think we need a new body on the side of the European institution, open to some countries which are not inside the European Union, and more flexible and with a more flexible framework. I think so.
It's an interesting idea. We know that
it's not a proposal. We have to elaborate, we have to work, to think about, but I think the current system is not working well. There is once again, too much bureaucracy and not enough rapidity and flexibility, facing a world which is working and living very fast. Everything around us is very, very rapid and very fast, and we are not at the same level of rapidity.
Well, in Brussels we say one of the reasons why it's slow is because each country has a veto for security and foreign policy. Yes. Is that slowing us down? Do we need to?
No, we have, as you know, Nicolas, we have already in the past reduced lots of the level of veto in many fields and many competences. Looking at the single market, for instance, I have been the commissioner for the single market, and I have built, despite the reserve of UK at that time. You remember, in your country, I was called the most dangerous man of Europe when I was a commissioner for the financial services. But I don't know if I'm yet still the most dangerous man of Europe. I don't think so. But we have built 41 regulations to face the financial crisis, to rebuild the architecture of regulation, the supervision. And for 39 of these regulations, I succeed to have the support of the UK, so to be frank. But it would be impossible to build this architecture without without the qualified majority.
Right.
So there is a lot of rooms, lot of competence where we already act and work with a qualified majority. The point for me is not to have the qualified majority everywhere. I don't think it would be possible to have qualified majority for defense, to send troops outside. But the point is, where is the level of ambition? So the point is to have this new body, in my view, the European Council for Security and Defense, to put together the most ambitious country. And it's not a question of majority or veto, right? It's just a question of ambition. Not to be obliged to find every time and every point and every subject the common denominator, because sometimes the common denominator is weak. Huh?
Of course, yeah.
The point is to say all the countries, large or small, east or west of the EU, which are ambitious to have a common defense policy, common policy for industry of defense. We can work on this framework about defense, external policy, intelligence, cooperation in Africa, and even, in my view, the key investment we need to do together to face the challenges for IA or many of what we call the rupture of technologies.
So you would invite the UK into a Security Council, and we know there's a debate in the UK now about getting closer to the EU. Do you think the UK could come back into the European Union, or this Security Council would be better?
Security Council is the same thing. Coming back to the single market.
Not the same thing.
Sure.
Okay.
So then the choice is not our choice. It was the choice of the UK to leave, not our choice. And we respect the choice of the UK, and we will respect the choice of the UK if we want to come back once time. I don't think so. It would be soon. But I have proposed to Johnson at the end of the first negotiation on leaving the EU, before negotiating leaving the single market. And I proposed to Johnson at that time to work on new cooperation between EU and UK about defense and external policy. And at that time he refused to work on this term. So I think it was not, and it is still not the interest of the UK to be outside of this thinking and this strategy. So I think it would be the common interest to propose to the UK to work with us. Being outside of the EU. But look at what my example is Norway. Norway did not choose to be inside the EU, but they work inside the single market, and I think they are happy.
But now they're even talking about, that debate is starting about EU membership for them. But that's very interesting.
I don't think so. It's possible in the next few years. Or so. But it will be in any case the choice of the sovereign choice of the UK.
So Mr. Brexit is inviting the UK not back into the EU, but to part of a new security.
If they want to.
That's
they want. But UK is a great country. UK has a seat in the United Nations Strategic Council. UK has a strong army. UK has a great influence in the world and a diplomatic network everywhere. So I think it's a common interest to work together, in particular in the Middle East or around the Mediterranean.
Well, I wish this were a much longer conversation, but I see we just have about a minute left. I do want to get your view on this big debate about the special envoy for a European special envoy for the Russia-Ukraine war. Do you think Europe should name a person to lead, to represent European interests in this, to wind up this war?
The Ukrainian crisis is much more than the usual crisis. It is, in fact, existential crisis for Europe, for the peace, for the stability of the continent, and obviously first for the Ukrainian sovereignty. And, so I think that we need, for such challenges, which is extraordinary, unfortunately due to the aggression of Russia, I think we need to merge all the energies, all the intelligence, all the capacity, and in that case, I think it could be useful to have somebody working on the name of all institutions at the same time. So that means the European Parliament, the Council, obviously, but also the Commission. You're
not available to do it?
No, the point, you don't help anything if you personalize. The first point is the principle of this, to agree on the principle. We will see, it will be a choice of the European Council first, and with the support of the Commission, the European Parliament. But it's not a question of person. There's many persons able to do this job. The point is to work on the name of everybody. And what I know, what I learned as a EU chief negotiator of the Brexit, that it was key to speak and to act and to work on the name of all the institutions at the same time, and to tell everything, it was what I call transparency, to tell everything to everybody on every subject at the same time, all along the process. And it was what I did.
Transparency. Thank you very much. Michel Barnier, former French Prime Minister, Brexit negotiator, French lawmaker, unstoppable.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.